Okay, welcome back. Solo role manging Tales of Argosa. Sort of. Mostly. Yeah, it's pretty good, mostly. Just a handful of changes. Honestly, I guess we haven't really changed that much. What have I changed? I put in templates, but that's not really changing the fundamental game. I changed magic for magic users, and I changed the cleric's main thing. That was the biggest change. I changed armor so that it has a bit more granularity and takes up slots in your gear equal to the AC bonus that it provides. And we changed... Oh, the Ranger. That's right. We gave an option for the Beast Companion, which I don't know. I don't know how you can argue that that's a bad thing. I think forcing an animal onto somebody that doesn't want an animal is just cruel. That's what I think. And so we've been going through the sinister secret of White Rock. That's right, by Harley Stroh. We've been going through it. This situation certainly didn't happen. I'd be surprised if this ever could happen. Well, you'd have to know to hook the cauldron up to the chain. And then there'd have to be this whole ambush by numerous deep gnomes, which might happen. And then I guess, well, if you run back to the cauldron to go up, I don't know why you would do that, but maybe you're on the run and you're trying to get out of here. They don't appear as random encounters, so it'd have to be that. Anyways, yeah, last time, well, technically we hit level 2. We haven't leveled up yet, but we hit the XP threshold. We killed a bunch of stuff. We killed some of those deep gnomes. We rode down on the chain. We killed a big spider. We killed an assassin vine. We killed a young owl bear. We're on a warpath because this is D&D. Combat is usually really something easy to run solo compared to like traps and puzzles and stuff. Like puzzles especially, it's like what am I going to do solo? I guess maybe if the puzzle comes up and it doesn't tell me the solution, maybe I can sit here and try and think about it, but usually I just read the whole thing, unfortunately. So combat's one of those things that's always pretty easy. It comes down to dice rolls and occasionally some strategy, and it's, yeah, the easiest to do. Whereas if I tried doing Tomb of the Serpent King, that doesn't have a whole lot of combat. That's more puzzly kind of stuff. So that's a bit iffier. It might be worth a try, but we'll see about that in the future. Anyways, let's continue. We went through rooms 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 6, and now we're heading to 9. So we're heading to 1-9. Yep, 1-9. So there's some doors there. I guess we listen at the door. I don't think we hear anything, so we enter. The floor of the large octagonal room is marked with deep, spiraling runes. 8 tall crystals are set around the circumference of the room, glowing with a soft blue light. Okay. That's all we see. This chamber was created to inure gnome defenders against the horrors that awaited the Clockwork Academy and Castle White Rock, but even the seers of Silverheel failed to predict the true devastation that would beset the defenders. Adventurers inspecting the crystals see that captured inside each crystal is a pastoral image depicting high mountains, wind-swept passes, and majestic glaciers. A DC-10 spot or search check allows the viewer to notice tiny towers and citadels hidden amongst the icy mountains and high moors. Yeah, I would not have a roll for that. You can just say that. It's not that big of a deal. Cut down on rolls a little bit here. Bards succeeding on a DC-15 Bardic Knowledge check, as well as gnomes and dwarves, will recognize these tiny settlements as fabled gnome fastnesses. See that? I think we would just make one int check. Generally from wherever I was the highest int, which is going to be Villagrad. He fails. He does not recognize this. He's a bit dumb. 5 rounds after entering the chamber. Okay, so I guess we'll fast forward. Let me roll underclock at least. Down to 6. We're getting pretty close. So, and then we'll tick this down. This looks like a dead end. But I guess we're inspecting these sweet little snow globes. Around the room. And then that's when the floor begins to descend. As the floor falls away, it becomes apparent that the crystals aren't actually set into the floor, but are easily over 50 feet in length. The images captured in the top of the crystal slowly transform as the descending floor reveals more and more of each crystal, and depict the prophesized end of the Clockwork Academy. After 10 feet has been revealed, the crystals show internecine warfare amongst the gnome settlements. After 20 feet, the crystals show orc hordes descending from the mountains, laying siege to gnome citadels and pillaging the outlying settlements. After 30 feet, the adventurers will see terrible giants tearing down the walls and towers, and after 40 feet, terrible dragons settle over the gnome fastnesses, laying waste to the defenders and scattering the survivors to the 7 winds. As the lift descends, a terrible moaning echoes through the chamber, and each living creature in the area becomes panicked unless it succeeds on a DC 16 will save. If cornered, likely in this confined space, a panicked creature cowers for 7 rounds. The moaning alerts the Sea Hill in Area 110. When the chamber reaches the elevation of that area 5 rounds later, the aberrations are girded and ready for battle. The moaning is so loud that even if opposed by a bard's countersong, it still drowns out all verbal communication. Unless your characters communicate magically or by reading each other's lips, players must observe the GM and enforce silence. So we can't actually talk to one another, but we're playing solo, so I don't know how much it really matters. Okay, so we're going to have to make a luck will save for everybody. Everybody's going to have to make this, and it's a DC 16. Do I want to actually put a... We'll put a -1 on it. I'm going to put a -1 on this bad boy. Alright, Tress fails. Villagrad fails. He will use a reroll. Still failed. Okay. Damn. Damn. Okay. Corin. Very unlikely to succeed. Terrible failure. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty unlikely, but I guess I'll use a reroll. Still even worse. And finally, Danton. Come on, you got this. Terrible failure. Do I want to use a reroll? Fuck it, I want one person to be fine. Nope. All fail across the board. That means all of us are cowering for 7 rounds. That sounds like a TPK, if you ask me. This is like Turn Undead, you know, and they cower in the corner, and then I just say yes, and we wipe them out, and there's no opposition. That's what's going to happen. So we're cowering for 7 rounds, and then we reach here 5 rounds later. And they're going to be ready. So it's going to be 2 rounds where we're just cowering in fear. Like, we were just not expecting this, man. Says they are girded and ready for battle. It says they make their home in this chamber lair in small holes dug into the spongy detritus-laden floor. They lurk in their hovels, +5 circumstance bonus to hijack, springing out to launch surprise attacks on explorers. So it sounds like if they enter through Area 19, they attack out of fear, hurling spears into the chamber. Doesn't sound like they're going to rush in, though, to kill us. So I'm not really sure what the cowering does. No, it doesn't, I mean, it doesn't sound like it really does anything. It's not, they're not going to rush in and butcher us. Because there's a door between us and them. It just means they're ready for battle. So there's no chance for us to, like, surprise them or anything. But obviously this is always going to happen. So they're always going to be ready for battle. You're never going to surprise them. Okay, so, well, that's good. We don't have to worry about cowering in fear or anything and getting butchered. And the howling continues to go on for 1d8 rounds after we arrive. So let's roll that. 7. Okay, so it just keeps going. I'm gonna roll the underclock down to 2. Okay, well, in that case, we're definitely not going anywhere. We're gonna wait. We're just gonna sit here and wait and just, like, recover, and hopefully the moaning stops eventually. And I think it would before I roll the underclock again. If that's once every 10 minutes, then yes, it will eventually end. And I'm gonna tick the light down again, roll the underclock. 1. It's at 1. Do we want to wait? We only have so much light, and we're deep underground now, apparently. So I think we can't afford to just sit around on our hands, with our thumbs up our asses. So I think we're gonna have to just keep going. We're gonna open the door. Tress is no longer in the lead. Danton's in the lead now. Okay. The chamber before you has a strange gloom, giving the walls and the floor a faint violet tint. Harvested mushrooms litter the floor, and the air is thick with the smell of smoke, though no fire is to be seen. Okay, so we are going to give them... We'll give them advantage, because they get a +5. That's pretty much advantage. So, a perception check versus their dex with advantage to see if they get a surprise round on us, which could be really bad. We succeeded by 6. Good. Their dex is 14 with advantage. They succeeded by 6. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, what does that mean? Ties mean the status quo remains, or might require a reroll at the GM's discretion. The status quo remains. Can't really do that. It's either it's binary. Hold on. Right. What were we deciding? Oh, yeah, we were deciding what a tie means. I think, yeah, it's going to have to be a reroll, sadly. Because we were doing pretty good there. If it was just one number off. Alright, perception again. Terrible failure. But I do have detection, so we're going to spend a reroll here. Which means I actually should have +1 for this kind of stuff. Wait a minute, I have +1! We succeeded. We won. I forgot about +1 from detection. So we actually had a margin of 7 to their 6. Haha. Ho ho, haha. Skills. Good to keep in mind. Okay, so we do notice. So basically, combat just starts then, right as we shout out that there's more freaks. Freaks! Initiative. Great success. Excellent. Oh, we can just lay waste to them. Danton is about to go ham! So there's 6 of these little bastards. They all have their javelins ready. They thought they had us, but we noticed a little too quickly. So Danton's going to charge in with his spear. He's going to trigger adaptable for long reach. So he gets a free attack on one with his spear. Butchered. Fucking butchered, man. These things have 6 health each. That AC is not accurate. There's no way that's accurate. I don't know if we have like an equivalent kind of creature here. Like yeah, I don't know what it would be, like a beast man or something. I mean, I guess you could just look at like the Scorn, which is sort of the beast men orc sort of numbers. They have 11 AC. And they have 2 hit dice. So they actually have more health. And I don't know, maybe the hit points are just going to be higher across the board? I'd like to just find something equivalent. These have a challenge rating of 1/2. They shouldn't really be that nuts. But like a human archer, 1 hit dice, 11 AC with leather armor. I don't think really we're looking at higher than 12 AC on these little bastards. It just doesn't make any sense. I thought there was another kind of creature that was... Well, there's goblin. I guess it's a goblin, right? Sort of a goblin. There, 11 AC. They only have 1d4 HP, though. Alright, we'll be a little generous and say they have 12 AC. 12 HP, 12 AC, 6 HP. No matter what, that one's fucking dead. So now I get to switch back to Opportunist and make another attack on a second one nearby. That's another kill. But Opportunist can only trigger once. Once per round. Yeah, once per round. But now I have my normal attack against a third one. So this is like all on the left side. Danton just goes... Just spearing one after the next. Look at that! 3 kills! This is exactly what I prophesized. Danton is the man! Imagine if he had that black-silver spear that healed him. It'd be amazing. Okay, well that's certainly 3 kills. Very clean. Those are all very good rolls. He only has +3 on the roll, so that was pretty exceptional. That's like a morale check right there immediately. But Corin's going to get a shot on the one farthest in the back on the right side. Miss. As I said, 12 AC. I got to stand by it. Wouldn't be a kill anyways. Corin continues to kind of disappoint. Also with +3 on the roll. She should do okay. But eventually, Duty Bound might come into play. Tress just has a torch. I'm iffy to have her run in with that. So I don't think so. And then Villagrad, I guess we could summon an Earth Elemental. Just to, like, tank. I mean, we'll just kind of have it loom over those little bastards. To really pop that morale pretty good. Int roll. Great success. Excellent. So it gets buffed. And it will be... Let's buff its damage, because they have 6 health. So it's going to do 2d4 damage. And it's going to swing immediately on the one in the middle. So d20 plus 1. That is a hit for 2d4 damage. Only 3. Alright, but we punched him pretty hard in the face. He's going to feel it. All right, then they get to go. I'm gonna do the morale check. This is gonna be minus. Well, what's their wisdom? 9. Okay, so they're already pretty weak, but I'm gonna do -1 as well because this was Danton's turn was just overwhelming. So they need an 8 or better. They failed, so they're gonna spend their turn fleeing. The Earth Elemental is gonna get a free attack against the one next to him that fled. So again, +1. All right, it's a miss. Danton's on the other side, so he doesn't get any ops. No one else was in there. So they're just going to run into the darkness, if there is a place to run. Okay. There's just the lake down there. It says that on the eastern lip of the chamber is a 60-foot length of rope woven from hair of the sea hell's victims. The rope is anchored to the lip of Area 110, can be used to climb down into the lake below. Okay, and that's the big finale. There's an oracle down there. Like, they're definitely retreating to warn them. So, I imagine they probably get there. If they can move 60 feet, then this happened, like, here. That's, like, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. They're starting to climb down the rope. I don't know if they're amazing climbers or not. No, they climb at normal speed to their movement, but their movement is only 20 feet. Oh, because they're short little bastards. That's good to know. Well, that might change things, because that is not normal movement rate. So here, 5, 10, 15, 20, 5, 10, 15, 20, give or take. They might be right at the edge. So we might get one turn here before they... If we win initiative, we might get them before they start climbing down. So, Villagrad. Success! Alright. Corin's gonna fire off an arrow against the one she missed, so this is with +2. +2. Crit, baby! Boom! Right through the face. Its body tumbles into the inky blackness below. And the waterfall, I guess, is really loud, so I don't think they'd hear the splash. That's good. Then Danton will charge in with his spear. He can't benefit from long reach again. And I think that was only once per battle anyways, so it's a perfect adaptable thing. But he can potentially wipe out both with Opportunist, because that's once per round. So he's going to try to do that. Nope, sadly he misses. The Earth Elemental will come over and try and clobber the one that's injured, that has 3 health. He crits. So, it's max damage plus half level round up. So he would do 9. Yeah, he fucking sends this little this little golem creature just spiraling across the abyss. His brain just smush. That leaves 1 left. It's his turn. I guess he could surrender and beg for mercy, but they seem pretty animalistic. So I don't think he would. I think he's going to keep trying to run and climb down, which means he provokes an op from Danton and the elemental. Here we go, baby. That is a kill. So he tries to quickly turn and leap down to the rope, but Danton spears him in midair. Dead. Danton, man. He's a fucking monster. That +3 on damage. Oh. 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 Spears are so good. Everyone should have a spear. That's why being a cultist sucks. I should pick that deity that lets you use any melee weapon. I should pick the Iron God, just so I can use spears. That's how good spears are. Tress with a spear? In like a phalanx position? Oh my god, we'd be insane. And fuck it, give Vilgrad a spear? Give Corrin a spear? Yeah, dude, let's be the fucking phalanx crew. That's ultimate door strats. We're doing that. After we get out of here, we're doing that. Everyone's getting a spear. Tress is going to accept the only deity in this world that would allow her to wield a spear, because that is the way it must be. Okay, but we slaughtered them all. I guess we'll check their hovel and stuff, but I think we kind of are curious about what we see down there. A casual inspection of the chamber turns up a small fire pit filled with glowing embers covered with mushroom stalks. Smoking atop the stalks are shanks of meat cut from disturbingly familiar body parts, predominantly dwarf and human, with a string of elf ear jerky. Ooh, unsettling. A closer search discovers a small hovel hidden along the north wall, covered in dried mushroom cap. The holes conceal the aberrant's treasure, a mirrored masterwork buckler, a moldy leather pouch containing 13 PP, 5 small brightly colored gems worth 15 gold each, and a hollow femur containing a divine scroll inscribed with the spell Cure Serious Wounds and Silence. Ooh, what are the rules? What are the scroll rules in Tales of Argosa? This lets you create scrolls. Expensive. 1d4 plus 2 times 100. So the cheapest scroll you could possibly make is 300 gold. I mean, this is silver, but we changed everything to gold. So is that right? Hold on. What was the one that we were doing? Holmes. Yeah, it was 100 gold. $100 gold for any level? Oh, 1 week time per spell level. Honestly, that's pretty fair. Alright, forget this. We're going with the Holmes D&D rule. So it's a flat 100 gold. It just takes 1 week time per spell level. And then this also says it requires a special material that the PC must supply. So you have to have, like... basically you have to kill monsters and harvest their parts in order to make special scrolls, which I think is how Axe does it, actually. Well, Axe has it for any sort of magic research, including researching spells, scribing scrolls, brewing potions, crafting charge of permanent magic items, identifying magic items, crossbreeding monsters, creating necromantic servants, designing and building constructs, and learning and casting ritual spells. And so that requires components from monsters. And if we actually, I'm not going to do it, but if we look at the monstrous manual for Axe, it shows each monster and what components they provide, and then what those could be used for. It's a system that really kind of excites me, despite never having played in a game that utilized a system like that, and never DM'd anybody that utilized that. If I ever was DMing for my family or something, and they said, "Oh, we want to harvest this, because maybe I can do something with it," I'd be very excited. But also, I just don't think they probably know about it. I don't think I really talked about it. The last week I DM'd them, they killed a Hydra, and I basically told them that people would pay quite a bit of money for certain parts of the Hydra. I think I said like their venom sac and their heart or something. And I didn't really say what the players could use it for. I just said people would pay money for it, but I should go in a bit more detail. Cause yeah, I think this is the way to go. And I think that works actually pretty well with the flat cost of 100 gold. The gold is just for like the magic dust or whatever, and the parchment, all that sort of stuff. The real cost is going to be the special material. And it actually says here, any spell from the spell list may be inscribed, or other spell the magic user knows or is contained in a spell book they have access to. Does that mean you can just write down scrolls you don't know the spell to? Because it's on the spell list? That doesn't really make any sense. I don't agree with that. It's like how if you knew how to write the scroll and write the spell down, you'd know the spell. So no, I think you have to know the spell if you're trying to write a scroll. If you're doing other magic research, then it gets, a little murkier, but for scrolls specifically. So then you could take your monster part, you could take your ingredients, like an MMO, and take it to a wizard or whatever that knows the spell and is willing to do this for you, but you're gonna have to pay extra for their time, because this is a week per spell level. So if you want to craft a 7th level spell, that's going to take them almost 2 months of work. And I imagine a wizard that knows a 7th level spell is probably going to charge a pretty insane amount. But it might be a spell that you just really freaking need for some sort of big, huge plan, or I don't, something like that. So, anyways. Okay. Right. Well, we were getting we have to find this treasure. I said I wanted to search this place because we haven't gotten much treasure, so we're on the lookout for their treasure hoard. So we have to make a perception check here. Failure. I will spend a reroll on that. Also, we should short rest. But I want to re-roll this. This is with +1. Okay, success. Fucking barely. Alright, let's short rest. Alright, she got a great success. So, do we want her to restore her health or get cure wounds back? She's pretty useless in combat. She can't use one of these hook swords. Well, no, I guess if I'm taking the Iron God, she can use whatever. So she should pick up one of the hook swords and use it. Fuck it, we're picking the Iron God. I'm committed now. I want the spear strat, so we're doing it. So maybe she should have health instead if she's going to be fighting. Alright, she'll go for her health. Up to 10. And, yeah, she's going to... also we're getting a Masterwork Buckler. Now, I'm sure Tales of Argosa does not distinguish between types of shields. I would really, really doubt that. Yeah, it's just +1 AC. But I always tend to forget about the splintering of shields to negate a hit. I'll have to remember that. But this is a Masterwork Buckler. Do I really want to make it 2 AC? For a Masterwork? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. It's expensive. Masterwork equipment here, +1 AC armor is 650 gold. This thing is very valuable. I don't think I'm going to want to splinter it, but yes, I think it's meant to be very valuable. So we're going to have a Masterwork shield. And she's going to pick up one of the hook swords on the ground as well. So this is going to be Masterwork. Plus 2 AC. Boom. So that bumps her up to 17 as well. Okay, so she can't hold the torch anymore, so we'll hand it off to Villagrad. So we have one left, actually, and well, after we search this, after we loot this, we're gonna have to roll the underclock. We also find a moldy leather pouch containing 13 platinum pieces, which are 5 gold each. We'll just stick with gold. I don't usually like to mess around with platinum. So that's 65 gold that we can pocket. So it bumps us up to 110. See, and again, Shadow Dark, you know, keeps track of the encumbrance from carrying coins as well. So we're just skipping that because I don't know how to handle that. Well, I don't want to handle it. I'd have to create a dummy coin item and add that as well. You got me doing all this dummy work. 5 small brightly colored gems worth 15 gold each. I guess Corrin will take those. So we'll just add it as pack gear. Take up a slot. So this is gems. 5 gems. Rare, I guess. Pack gear. Loot. Loot type, precious stone. 15 GP each. You know what? I'm going to put that in the short description because it's better. Okay. And a hollow femur containing a divine scroll inscribed with the spell Cure Serious Wounds and Silence. Oh yeah, we didn't actually look up how to use scrolls. Doesn't really say at all. Doesn't say at all. So you just mention scrolls and then don't go into any detail. Scrolls 240. Okay, hold on. 240. Scroll. There we go. Part of their enchantment includes the ability to read and comprehend the arcane runes contained within. Anyone can attempt to cast, including the illiterate. Jesus. Magic users, and perhaps cultists in some cases, in our case, yes, may use a scroll to cast the inscribed spell without making any checks. Non-magic user attempting to cast a spell requires the usual spellcasting check. Okay. So yeah, it's pretty simple, and we can just use it whenever we want. So we've got a scroll with Cure Serious Wounds and Silence. We like that. Now that's not going to be... Cure Wounds kind of scales in Shadowdark. So I don't think there is ever a Cure Serious Wounds. There's a mass cure and there's a heal, which differentiate things a little bit. We could just say it's a cure wounds at level blank. So it's just like a 3d6 cure wound, basically. You could just say that. Let's just say that. Let's just say that. So we're gonna add an item. Divine Scroll. Cure serious wounds. 3d6 and silence. All right, and this is a magic item. This is going to go in battle gear. This is rare, I guess. 1 slot. It is technically consumable, but we'll leave it at that. All right, there you go. So she can cast those without any check. Just boom, 3d6 or silence. Is silence in? It's a tier 2 wizard spell, actually. That's right, I forgot they changed that for Shadow Dark. Magically mute sound in a near cube within the spell's range. Creatures inside the area are deafened, and any sounds they create cannot be heard. Yes, it has some real good potential for stealth. Alright. That's everything. Good loot and a good combat, so I think that's another... Oh boy, I could see maybe 3 XP, because that loot is one of our biggest hauls. Actually, that's like our only big haul so far. Do I want to throw out 3 XP for this, though? The combat was good. That's 1. The loot. A scroll is worth 2. Yeah, I think we'll go with 3 total for that whole thing. And then underclock. Yep. That is a random encounter. Back to 20. I think our light's going to tick down to 2. Our random encounter is going to be 5. Which is 1d3 Sturges. So up out of the big giant crevice down there. Swoop. How many? 2. 2 Sturges. Well, that's not too bad. So, do we have Sturges in Tales of Argosa? We do. Alright, we will just use these stats, even though they appear in groups of 3d10. That is pretty nuts, man. What are you thinking? That's crazy. Is this... So, in BX D&D, Sturges appear in a dungeon group in groups of 1d10. But in the wilderness, they would appear in groups of 3d12. So this seems to be more of like a wilderness number. I think these are mostly wilderness number. This isn't going to be random encounters in dungeons. That would be a little excessive. It probably... Yeah, in the wilds. Okay, so yeah, this is wilderness stuff. Alright, well, we don't have to worry about that. So we're just encountering 2 Sturges. There's no reaction roll. Well, I guess there is a reaction roll here. Let's roll a reaction roll. 7 is going to be ravenous. Yes, they want blood and they're likely to get it. Are they stealthy? Well, we're a little preoccupied, so we'll give them their stealth roll. Their dex is 16, so we'll just do that. They succeeded by 7. And our perception plus 1. Great success, 1. No, we hear him coming a mile away, baby. So no surprise there. Initiative. All right. Our turn. Corrin is immediately going to try to shoot one out of the sky before it gets even close. Oh, that is a hit for sure. And they only have 1d4 HP, so that is 100% a kill. All right, well, that was easy. And then Danton will charge in. Oh, I didn't short rest with him. I only short rest with 2 people for some reason. Okay, hold on. Let me finish short resting. Okay, double failure. Oh, I didn't short rest anybody past Tress. Because I was thinking about fighting with the hook sword and spear and stuff. So Vilgrad, he succeeded twice, so he's going to get back Spellcraft. And he will... I guess get a reroll back. Since I'm pretty sure you can't get to full health off of a short rest. Alright, and then Danton wants to get adaptable back and a reroll, ideally. Excellent. He's going to get a reroll back and adaptable. So I could give him the adaptable here, but I don't think this is going to count as a significant fight, so we're going to hold off. He's just going to walk up and try and stab it. And that's probably... yeah, it's 1 off. Okay, Tress is going to now, emboldened with a weapon in her hand, she's going to charge in. That is a hit and a kill. Excellent. Yes, Tress! Yes! Beautiful. Okay, not a significant fight, but we are now ready to move on. So, you know, certain that we will not encounter any other random encounters in the near future. But our torch is dwindling. And so let's look over the edge now. What do we see? This is 11. No. This is if you get up into the waterfall. 12. Through the murky darkness, you can make out a small island in the center of the lake. Amid tall, pale mushrooms and quick-darting creatures stands an enormous dark crystal, rising 12 feet out of the center of the isle. The crystal radiates a pale violet light that seems to pulse and throb inside your skull. Past the island, a raging waterfall spills down into the lake, misting the cavern and its occupants with droplets of freezing water, and casting an eerie rainbow over the darkened chamber. What I'm uncertain about is why I wouldn't just fire arrows down at the group down there. It's dark, yes, but the crystal is radiating a pale violet light that seems to pulse and throb. So, and we can see the lake, and we can see the crystal, so that's lit up at least. I don't know how big this island is. Okay, so it's like 5, 10, at its long, widest 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 feet by 27 feet. So it's a reasonable size. I don't know how big these mushrooms are, if they provide a lot of cover or anything like that, but if we can see darting creatures, I should be able to shoot down at this. Especially maybe the Oracle. crown of black crystals adorning her pale, waxy visage. Yeah, I would imagine that we can fire. Oh, look. Oh, okay. Oh, look at it. There's no cover at all. There's no fucking cover at all, dude. These little mushrooms. That's what I thought they were like the size, like 8 feet tall or something. I was like, well, I don't know. It sounds kind of like cover. But no, they're just standing on this little island, darting around. And apparently the kidnapped kids are here. So we don't want to hit them. But, yeah, I mean, we're definitely going to have Corrin just start raining arrows down. And then, you know, hopefully they start climbing up one by one, because Danton is going to be fucking waiting. Now, it does say that the Oracle can cast Sleep as adventurers descend the rope. And then again, as they approach the island, cause them to drown in the lake. But, I don't know. Do we think that she would cast Sleep on us all the way up here? Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute, Mikey. How tall is this rope? 60 feet of rope. So that's straight down. This is about a bit of an angle. So I would say we're like 65, 70 feet maybe. Well, depending, I guess, the further towards the middle of the island you go, maybe it's like 75 feet. 75 feet from where we'd stand on the edge of the platform, or close to the edge of the platform, and like the middle of the island. Which means that these things have dark vision 60 feet. If we douse our torch, because we don't need it, it actually hurts us to have it, because we can see down where the island is, then they can't even see us from down there. So she ain't casting spells at shit. And then it's just like a shit show for them. And I don't know what exactly they would do. I think that they're just going to start sending these goons. And there's not many. There's only 3 of them with her. So she's the main threat. So obviously we can tell she's the leader. So we're going to douse the torch completely. We're going to plunge into darkness. Danton is going to just kind of crouch on one knee behind his shield towards the edge somewhat. Not too close. Because basically just want to stab anything that tries to climb up the edge. And then Corrin is going to stand there and just rain arrows down at the Oracle. I think you could argue there's a penalty here. And I think if we go to axe for the longbow... Actually, I don't know. Fucking longbow? Longbow short range is 120 feet. So there's no penalty for distance. The only penalty you might be able to say is that it's in the dark. And yeah, it is visible down there, but it's pale and violet light. So I don't think it's really well lit. So I'm going to give her a -2 on the roll, which I think is fair. That's why I said it. We need to decide on the Oracle's AC. This says that she has an AC of 14. Unless she casts Mage Armor. And she'd get Protection from Good and Entropic Shield and Bless and Bane. If she has Warning of Our Approach. I don't think she does. Because we didn't even let any of those... I mean, maybe those little guys shouted, like, oh god, they're coming. I don't know. Well, let's play it that they didn't manage to get that off. So, right now her AC is going to be Well, it should be lower, I guess, than the others. She's a mage. They, according to this, have an AC of 17. We're not doing that. We gave them an AC of 12, I think. So hers would be pretty flat at maybe 10. Her dex is 15, but I guess if we're ignoring that... Alright, we're ignoring that. Her AC is 10. We're just making it fair. Alright, so that's it. We're going to take our first shot. We do have surprise here. Like, she's stationary. She's not trying to avoid anything. So -2 with advantage. Ooh, we got a natural 19 effect. I love it. How much health does she have? Quite a bit. 23. I don't know why she has so much. But she is a Sorcerer 2, Cleric 2, so I guess. 23. So we knocked her down to 16. And now we're going to roll a d12 on the missile trauma table. 6. I'll take that. That sounds fairly solid. Rapid shot. Target is struck by 2 missiles instead of 1. Roll damage twice. Don't mind if I do. So this is a d8 plus, plus 2. Another 8. Okay, so now she's at 8 health. Well, that must not have felt too good. Now we roll initiative. We'll have Tress roll. Failure. Damn, that would have been good, because now she's going to get some buffs off. She just took 2 arrows to the chest. Alright, so the 3 goons immediately start scrambling, you know. You hand wave some stuff of, like, the confusion and blah, blah, blah. You know, we're gonna hand wave that. And they're immediately gonna start scrambling towards the rope. And we'll say they all start climbing the rope. The Oracle, however, is, I mean, I guess she would probably run and hide behind the crystal. Because that's... Yeah, that would make the most sense. And it says a character fully covered by terrain cannot be directly attacked unless the cover is somehow bypassed. So that's the only cover down there on the island. So she's definitely going to hide behind that. And, because again, they all know where the arrows are coming from. They just can't see us. But she's going to hide behind the crystal and then cast. Probably the most important thing for her would be mage armor. So we'll just copy the novice. We'll just copy Shadow Dark's mage armor effect, which I think is 14. Yeah. Well, she might get a great success. She rolled a 5. That's probably going to be a great success for her. So we'll give her armor of 18, and she feels strong in it despite her injuries. So that's the end of their turn. Our turn, I think we see the 3 guys. Danton kind of looks and sees the 3 guys scrambling, you know, out of sight towards where the rope is. So, you know, he mentions that they're coming. And we're gonna need the torch, unfortunately, because they can see in the dark, and Danton can't really see anything now that's out of the light of that crystal. So we're gonna need the torch, which means that we're gonna be illuminated for the mage. But that's just gonna be the way of it. So yeah, we're gonna strike up a new torch, bumping our light back up to 6. Use torch. Done. So Villagrad does have it lit. Okay, new round. Great success. Okay. There's not a whole lot I can do. Danton's gonna ready an action to stab anything that appears in his vision. And then Corrin is gonna ready an action to shoot at the Oracle as soon as she pops out of cover. So she's like a sniper, just like waiting to see a head pop out, you know? And that's pretty much all we can do. I have no other range stuff that would work. So, that's it. Alright, they go. They can climb 40 feet. It's a 60-foot rope. They started climbing, so they're like 20 feet down now. So, Danton does not get to stab anything yet. Is the Oracle gonna pop out to cast something at them? She still has more buffs. Protection from good and Entropic Shield. I have no idea what Entropic Shield is. Let us look. This field deflects incoming arrows, rays, and other ranged attacks. Each ranged attack directed at you, for which the attacker must attack roll, has a 20% miss chance. Okay, so a flat 20% miss. So she is going to buff herself with Entropic Shield as well. Okay, next round. Corin's initiative, which is pretty shit. Failure. Now, does the readied action... does that fall off? If it hasn't been my turn yet. I feel like you ready an action until the start of your turn. And that's specifically because of situations like this, where the enemies might go double. I think there's rules for delaying your turn. I don't think it ever mentions readying actions, but I always allow it because I encourage that sort of behavior. Oh, ready action. To respond to a specific event, blah, blah, blah. If the triggering event does not occur, the character's action is generally lost GM's call. I would argue that nothing has really changed in Danton's situation. You're squibbling over seconds, really. And the situation has not changed whatsoever, so I think his ready action holds. So, the first one is going to climb over the edge, and he's going to spear it right now. Spear. He missed. So now it's going to climb up. Does it get an attack against him? You know what? I'm going to do it. I gave him the ready action. I'm going to give him, the first guy, a free hit. Nope, definitely not. Okay, and then now the mage, the Oracle, is going to pop out. And has some stuff. Acid Splash, no. Daze, I don't think so. Ray of Frost, maybe. Sleep, there's no way Sleep has that far of range. I have the 3.5 edition spell list up here. Range medium, 100 feet plus 10 feet per level. My god. And it affects one or more living creatures within a 10-foot radius burst. So you do get a will to negate the effect. That's if we want to use 3.5 edition. We're using Shadow Dark spells, which means that Sleep will not at all reach that far. So we got to give her something more usable of a first level spell that she can use. But we've gone over this. There's like nothing at first level that has ranged hit except for Magic Missile. So I guess we'll just do Magic Missile. But we're doing the kind of upgraded version, which is 1d6 plus 1. And this will be against Corrin, so it's a guaranteed 1d6 plus 1. 3 damage. That's not much. That's certainly a far cry from sleep. Alright, now it's our turn. Corrin is going to try to shoot at the Oracle, who has AC of 18 now. And there's the flat 20% miss chance. Okay, we bypass that at least. And then this is it's quite a shot. Very slim odds of hitting. And I think, are we still going with the -2? Because that's going to be really rough. I think I have to abide by -2. 10. That is a miss. This is going to be a tricky thing. Danton's going to try and spear this next one. That is a hit, but I think we give them 6 health. I think they have 6. So, yeah, that one's almost dead, but he could push him. So we'll do an opposed strength check. Success by 3 versus their strength of 13. Ooh, no, this one stands firm. Damn. Okay, then Tress will move up as well to try and cut off his head. That is a miss. We gave them AC 12. So it's up to Villagrad to throw a dart at this one. There you go, right through the eye socket. He tumbles down below. Alright, next initiative is not Corrin. We already did that. Danton. Success! Barely. Alright, he's going to ready an action for the next 1 or 2 that come over. And Corrin is going to fire at the Oracle again. We bypass the Entropic Shield. -2 on the roll. Crit! That's it. That's all it takes. That's all it freaking takes. 10 damage. Just boom. Forehead obliterated. All your buffs mean nothing to me. Dead. Crits are good. Tress will also ready an action to slice at whatever comes up. So they go. They're not quite paying attention to the Oracle, so they keep climbing. The next one comes up. Danton spears. 9 damage. Dead. Just sends him flying off the edge. The third one, probably going to have to roll morale here. They're pretty weak. Low morale. He just saw 2 of his buddies die. So, I think they have a 9. Alright, he failed. So he's not going to climb up. He's going to slide back down into the water. Hopefully unnoticed. But he's like the last of his kind. So I don't know what he's going to do. Oh, the death of the Oracle triggers an immediate tremor that shakes the entire cabin and causes the waters of the lake to slosh over the island. The waves reach 2 feet in height, knocking prone anyone who fails a DC 15 balance check. The platform in Area 110 breaks free, crashing down into the lake, taking with it any ropes that the heroes might have anchored to the chamber. I like that it calls them giant mushrooms. It calls them giant mushrooms that we can climb atop of. What are you talking about? Who drew this image? Well, it's too late now. I've done what I've done. Okay, well, we have quite a situation here that could result in everything dying. So, the platform that we're all on breaks. So we're all going to plummet down into the water. Which is probably going to be an acrobatics check for fall damage. I don't think they talked about... Well, it's 3 feet deep, so that's kind of bad. But that means we don't have to make swim checks or anything, so that's good. So we'll do, I mean, this is a pretty far fall, even if it isn't, well, it's only 3 feet of water. I hope that's enough. Normally a fall is, what did they say, like 3d6? 3d6 damage. And we'll curb that a little bit to 2d6, but I'll keep it at 2d6. And we'll allow an acrobatics dex check for half that. Will be kind of nice with the water, but not super nice. All right, so here's Tress's dex success, so she's gonna take half. Villagrad dex success, he'll take half. Corin does have acrobatics, so that helps. But still barely a failure and no rerolls. So she'll take the full 2d6. And Danton has acrobatics. Great success. Okay. So the number for everyone is going to be 5. Alright, so 5 for Corin. And then I guess 2 for everyone else. Okay, so we plummet down into the water. And we'll just say it kills off that other guy just to make things clean. And we see the kids all down there on the island, so we know. And things are getting bad quick. The whole place is shaking. Waves are sloshing over the island. Water is kind of rising. So we scramble onto the island. A terrible thundering then fills the cavern. And the waterfall is now just exploding with water down into this cavern. There's an entire subterranean river that's going to now flood the area. So the water level's rising. So we have the kids here. Stolen children here tied up to the stalk of a mushroom, cold, frightened, but otherwise unhurt from the ordeal. We didn't really say how many kids there were. We only came in for 1, so we're just going to say there's 1. They weren't very productive today. They only kidnapped 1 kid. The Oracle does have a shard dagger on her possession. It's a +1 dagger. And the crystal crown, and a ring of protection, and a cloak of resistance. This is all pretty insane. Do we have time to loot it? Maybe. Let's think of a plan here. What is our plan? Okay, so the platform broke. Water level is rising. We've got a kid here. And we don't really have many options for spells or special abilities of any kind. We can create an opening in a solid wall, no more than 5 feet thick. But mostly that's just going to cause the water to flood in there. There's no guarantee that we'll open it up into like a separate cavern. It's really just going to be like 5 feet of earth that we open up, and it'll just get quickly flooded. We can't make a hole because that probably won't do anything either for similar reasons. So I don't think that really does anything. I can create the elemental, but it's just like a big rock, and it's not that big, so I don't think that's an option. Tress doesn't even have a spell available, so that's nothing. We really don't have many options here. Other than just swimming. Stripping off armor and swimming. Which, I don't know. Actually, I do know. This is lore This is canon. This is correct information that we haven't gotten to, but I'll just quickly go to the map. I haven't talked about this at all yet. I'm not going to yet, but I can tell you that this is our home village right here, and it's on the coast. It is a fishing village. We all come from a fishing village. So it is canon that all of our characters know how to swim. And this kid is from the village as well. So he knows how to swim. So swimming is not going to be life-threatening to us. There is still the matter of our armor. I didn't say that we know how to swim with heavy armor on. So we do have a -2 penalty for any swimming checks. But I think swimming is going to be what's most likely. Like, the water's flooding and we're like, okay, well, it's not that bad. We're not in like a confined area or anything, so we can just float and rise with the tide. So I don't think it's actually that bad. I just don't know what sort of check swimming is. It's not listed as a skill or anything, but it might be under athletics. Yeah, okay, athletics. So it's going to be strength. Okay. Well, we all have somewhat decent strength, except Villagrad. His weak arms and his weak legs. And there is the matter of the kid. But Corin is insanely strong and can probably hold the kid up to help out. So really it's just a matter of, do I want to ditch armor to get to -2, to remove the -2? Yeah, I mean, we probably can just buy new armor. It's not that expensive, but it's kind of expensive. We're going off of axe prices as usual. So, I mean, what am I wearing? The +4? I think I'm wearing chainmail. That's 40 gold. Do I want to ditch 40 gold on the ground here? Or do I want to accept my fate? I do have athletics, and I do have a reroll on Danton, so I think he's probably fine. But Corin is also wearing medium, and if she's going to help out the kid, then we probably should ditch it. Alright, Corin's gonna ditch her her armor. Help out. And Villagrad's not wearing anything. Tress also has medium armor on. And she's in a similar state to Danton. But she doesn't have athletics. So I guess she's gonna ditch her armor. Okay. So, yeah, you know, we rescue the kid, make sure the kid's okay, and, you know, make sure they can swim, or have had some experience swimming, and we say, you know, it's all good, everything's fine, we're just gonna rise with the tide, we're gonna take a little dip in the water. It's gonna be cold, but, we'll be fine, we're gonna get out of here, and we'll have pie, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so I think we have a bit of a moment there to loot the Oracle. So we can take the +1 dagger, the Crystal Crown, the Ring of Protection +1, Cloak of Resistance +1. Except I don't think we want the Cloak of Resistance. As in this game, it doesn't really make much sense. You could have it increase certain luck saves by 1, or I guess all luck saves by 1. Does that seem too powerful? Let's look at the Tales of Argosa magic items. Let's take a gander here. Yeah, they're all very new school, like very thematic, you know, things like that. There's no Cloak of Resistance +1 kind of thing, because that's old school and lame. And yet, I guarantee plenty of players still like that shit. So, well, no, I mean, look at that. You got a shield. And it's got lore a little bit to it, but look at that. It grants +2 AC instead of 1, and you're immune to poison and disease. That's a pretty, you know, simple magic item. But these things have attunement. Where it gains power every time you level up. So once you level up and have the shield for second level, or, you know, the next step up, you may negate a directional attack twice rather than once before requiring repair. And then third, once per week, conjure a wall of spectral light. Treat as Veil of the Baylord 8th level, but made of searing light instead of fire. But in order to unlock those, you must become a true follower of Argona. Okay, so you got some cool magic items here. Here's the sword. It does an extra 1d8 damage versus demons and undead. You may cause the sword to glow at will. I don't know, I kind of like that idea of magic items that grow in power as you become more connected to them. And have, like, special effects as well. Staff of Mensacor, you become sensitive to sunlight. Horn of Karagos, you grow 4 inches taller, develop an aversion to warmth, and a silver streak in your hair. So, yeah, it's kind of stuff like that, I suppose, rather than just a Cloak of Resistance +1, which, you know, everyone is just expected to have before long. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm not crazy about that kind of stuff, but if I was playing and the DM gave it to me, you better bet your ass I'm wearing it. But I also recently got a copy of the book, Arcane Artifacts and Curious Curios by Madeline Hale. And this has like 1,000 different magic items in it. So if I was going to look in here for like a cloak that would be maybe a bit more useful, or yeah, more unique, we'd go to the cloak section on page 65. So you've got Cloak of Camouflage. You get advantage on all efforts to blend in with your surroundings. A sentient cloak named Oscar to pull you out of harm's way when he can. A parasail cloak that allows you to glide on updrafts and, you know, no fall damage and that kind of stuff. Cloak of the Bear. Freely polymorph into a grizzly bear, but you have a 5% chance of forgetting that you were once human. You know, fun stuff like that. But here, this is one that I think this oracle might have and could be used. The Cloak of Magic. Once per day, the user can summon the cloak's magic to increase the strength of a single spell. Now, this is, I mean, obviously, any RPG book ever written in the last however many years is written for D&D 5th edition. It's generally written with that audience in mind, or that market in mind. But it's also, to its credit, written very system agnostically regardless. So there's nothing in here that actually uses 5th edition rules. But, yeah, I mean, it did say, like, it gives you advantage on all efforts to blend in with your surroundings with the Cloak of Camouflage. Now, obviously, if you're playing 5th edition, you know what that means. I mean, mechanically, you have a term of advantage. But, you know, it's also just a general term, regardless of your system, that it should increase your ability to blend in quite a bit. So I like that it's not written with 5th edition explicitly in mind and stated. But, yeah, I mean, I'm looking, like, here's the Belt of Healing. User regains 1d4 HP per hour. Now, Obviously, 5th edition, that's very clear. But then you have other systems that HP is maybe a little bit stranger or abstract. I mean, you could have systems where you don't even have hit points. You have, you know, narrative. Like you're playing Fate or something. I don't think you have hit points. Or there's plenty of games that just get rid of hit points as a concept entirely. You take wounds or something like that. So some of them might require some conversion, but that's really, I mean, what do you expect? What do you expect? Anyway, so the Cloak of Magic. Once per day, summon the Cloak's magic to increase the strength of a single spell. What do we want that to mean within Tales of Argosa? I mean, to be honest, I don't know what it really mean in 5th edition. It's purposefully vague. Do we want it to just... Let's do it this way. We'll make it pretty good. We'll make it pretty good. There's a Cloak of Magic that's going to stick with us for a while. So once per day, you can activate it to skip the spellcasting check, and it'll automatically be a great success. I think that's pretty good. I think that's always going to be good, regardless of how long you play and what level you are. And I think Villagrad will like it quite a bit, so we're going to give him that. So this is going to be a magic item. Battle gear. Very rare. I don't think it takes up a slot. I don't think it's really encumbering. This is going to be the Cloak of Magic. Not very evocatively named, but... There you go. Perfect. That's it. That's really all you need. Is this a major? Well, not really, because it doesn't scale. And we're not going to add effects to it. I'm just going to keep it at that. So it's a minor one. It's just a good one. Type is going to be wearable. Well, okay. Anything that's not these 4 is a... Alright, well, screw you then. Doesn't matter. That's what it is. And it is... Unless I can equip it. But it doesn't let you equip magic armor. Or magic items. So, that's what it is. Cloak of Magic. Good. So I can make this consumable, but I won't, like, delete it, right? Okay. But then how would I have to go back and change that manually to 1. Alright, that's fine. That's fine. It's fine. Okay, good. Then there's also the Ring of Protection +1. That's usually pretty clear. And usually that's just going to be +1 AC. But it is kind of powerful. So maybe we should also find an alternative for that, because otherwise everyone's roaming around with +1 Rings of Protection, and then your numbers are all off. So if we wanted to find some other ring that might be cool... something that this Oracle would have is mainly what I'm looking at. And this should have been rolled beforehand. There you go. The Ring of Stolen Years. Ring allows the user to absorb 2d12 hit points from any creature within 10 feet. Can be used once per day. Wow. Obviously, again, geared towards 5th edition, so that number is skewed a little too high. But we can change that to 2d6, and it's still very good. Because that is a big swing in combat. So we're going to give that to Danton, who's most likely to get beat up in melee. So we're going to go unassigned gear. This is the Ring of Stolen Years. Magic item, battle gear, very rare, 0 slots. Consumable, yep. Once per day. Absorb 2d6 from creature within... we'll make it close. Or, yeah, close? Touch. Within touch. Yeah, we'll make it he has to be next to somebody to do it. He has to, like, press the ring into their flesh. But it's an auto succeed. Like, it just happens. It's probably not very fair, but it is once per day. And she definitely would have used it had we been meleeing with her, but we just sniped the shit out of her. So it's all good. Excellent. Okay, that's those two things. And then there's the +1 dagger, which we could just say is a masterwork dagger. I mean, it does a little bit more than that, I guess, because it transmits a Sea Hell's chill touch, so you can drain the strength from someone. But it's pretty minor, and I don't think we really benefit much from a +1 dagger. So, I don't know, we'll probably not touch it. We're probably scared of it. We'll take the Crystal Crown, though. That just looks valuable. So, Vilgrod will snag that. Crystal Crown. Loot. Pack gear. Rare. Blah, 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 blah. So we're 65 GP. Excellent. We got a decent amount of treasure. Okay. So now it's just a matter of, can we float? Can we float? How many strength checks do you want to do? This apparently is going to take us 15 rounds to reach the base of the lift chain. And the real problem is our light's going to go out, so we're just going to be in the darkness. And we're going to be very wet, so we're not going to be able to relight it. So now it becomes really a problem of, like, I don't know how we're going to see. It doesn't mention it, it's just like, yeah, you can easily climb with a chain and climb out of the cavern back to safety. So it just skips over it. It's like, yeah, adventure over, you're good. I don't know if I can quite abide by such hand-wavery. But I also don't know what I would do, because we're not going to be able to light the torch afterwards. The only thing we could do is have, we could have Tress hold the torch, and she treads water with, like, one hand, which is going to be another penalty. But, I mean, I don't know. I could probably tread water with just my legs. Isn't that kind of the point of treading water? So maybe it's not that bad. Maybe give her a -2, but sure. She'll hold the torch, so we can have a light. And yeah, but how many strength checks? 15 rounds? Do we want to just make it 1? And that's it? And if you fail, you're dead? Or should we at least make it 2? It's like, how many... Eventually someone's going to fail, you know? No matter what, someone's going to fail at some point. So what happens? I don't really like save or die. So I don't think we really want to have someone just slip under the water and die. But, I don't know, maybe they then have to make a second check at a penalty, or do we want to have someone rescue them? I don't know, I guess we'll figure it out as we go. So, like, yeah, usually I try to think of it as if I was DMing this. Kind of depends on the group. you know? Like, if it's my family, I don't even know if I do a check. I'd just be like, yeah, all right, you guys all know how to swim, and you stay afloat. And it's all very, I describe it very cinematically and climactically, especially because like we're rescuing a kid, and it's like, yeah, great hero shit, and yeah, and it's like the end of a movie, the climax, and it's very exciting, and the place is collapsing around you, and that's how I would do it. Because I know that they would much prefer that rather than one of them just rolling a crit fail and dying, and they're like, oh, and just put a damper on the whole evening. So, yeah, it kind of depends on the group. On a normal, like if I was DMing for friends, I guess I would do 1. I think 1 sort of proves if your character can tread water, because not much of the situation is changing past that point. Yeah, there is a duration thing, true, but this also isn't that complicated. We're not swimming like upstream or something, or whatever, so something like that. We're literally just treading water. That's it. So I'd make it relatively simple. So let's do that. Tress is going to try to hold the torch. So this is strength check. She gets a -2 for holding the torch. Great success. All right, no problem. You could also do, if you get a great success, you only have to do 1. If you get a success, you have to do 2. You could do it that way. We'll see. Yeah, nothing else going on here. Viligrad has the worst odds, and he has no... He does have watercraft, but that's not swimming. That's boats. Which is really weird. Where are the fucking skills? Oh, watercraft does include fishing and swimming. So if you have watercraft for swimming, you don't need athletics. Wow. And it's a con or int? So he can roll against con with watercraft? Holy shit. Okay, well, we're going to roll con then, absolutely. Success. Excellent. Wow, he would have failed on strength. So he used his immense knowledge of swimming. Well, he rolled con, so yeah, it was more durability than anything. Alright. Awesome. Corin doesn't have either. And she's holding the kid, so she's going to roll strength at -2. Great success. Alright, she's good. And then Danton also has -2 because he kept his armor. Doesn't want to lose it. But he has athletics. So this is... yeah, this is -2 on that. Success. Okay. So we could call it there, or we could have the 2 successes roll a second time. You're getting a little iffy, but they both do get a reroll. So I think it's okay if we push it a little bit. So we're going to have Viligrad roll a second time. Yeah, you can just roll this. He's got a normal roll. Great success. He's good. And then Danton rolling athletics. -2. Terrible failure. Alright, well that is going to be a reroll for that. Now, it didn't offer me the option of reroll. Is that because I got a terrible failure? Or is that... I guess maybe it doesn't always offer it. So we're spending the reroll, rolling athletics again, -2. Failure. Okay, there's nothing we can do about that. So now someone's gonna have to rescue him. I think Viligrad is going to use his tremendous knowledge of swimming. Yeah, it's gonna have to be Viligrad because he doesn't have anything weighing him down. Okay, boy. So this is a once per adventure. This is the end of the adventure, so that's fine. Within close range, blah, blah, blah. It all makes sense. So the rescuer has to make an initiative check to determine whether they react fast enough. Okay. Failure. You're really going to penalize me for not being fast enough to rescue Danton? I think that's nonsense. I disagree entirely. I think sometimes it makes sense. Oftentimes it might make sense. But it's like, how fast is he possibly sinking that Vilgrad can't catch up to him? So maybe I should have given a bonus to that roll. But I don't agree. And yes, I want to save Danton. Of course I do. Also, this really makes you look like a bitch as a DM if you do this kind of stuff. Of just like, oh, well, you know, forget that. Just do it. You can just do it. Really makes you look like a little bitch in front of your group. So now we do have to do a luck check. So this is going to be luck check with int. Or con, I guess. Yeah, con. Con luck. Here we go. Great success. We did it. We did it. Who'd have thought Vilgrad, the weakest of the group. But he knows how to swim, man. He's like Michael Phelps in the water. Incredible. Yeah, okay. Had that been a terrible failure and like we both would have drowned, that would have been disastrous. We would have lost the Cloak of Magic. We would have lost multiple pieces of treasure. Yeah, it would have been pretty bad. Both magic items we got. But hey, it's all good. So we float up. Kid's alright. Everything's alright. We grab onto the chain. We climb up out of the chain. And we climb out of there. Back to civilization. We saved the day. Thus ends the sinister secret of White Rock. Oh, I did skip over this treasure, which we probably would have found. Jesus. Fucking 510 gold. Along with 3 small rubies worth 20 gold each, and another ring of protection +1. Alright, well, we didn't find it. Because apparently you can also, touch the crystal, which I didn't even think to mention, so it didn't come to mind to do. You have to make immediate will saves or have your mind filled with visions of slaughtering your companions and leading a terrible crusade against the upper world. Each adventurer who fails to save also incurs the crystal's curse. So your skin becomes waxy and pale, or you develop a palpable feral aura that grants a +3 bonus to intimidate checks and -5 penalty to all attempts to influence NPC through diplomacy or charisma checks. You get dark vision 60 feet, but also light sensitivity. You can grow large suckers, granting a +3 circumstance bonus to climb checks and a -5 penalty to all attempts to influence NPC attitudes. You can become sickly and weak when your mind is filled with terrible cunning. Trade 1 point of con and strength for intelligence. Or roll twice, ignoring all 12s and duplicates. And you have to get a remove curse spell cast on you. Alright, well, so we missed all that. We were in a kerfuffle with the place collapsing around us, so... yeah, it's fine. So we missed quite a bit of treasure, but we also got a good amount, and it was entertaining, so that's the real treasure. Castle White Rock. Is that another module? I assume so. Yep, Dungeon Crawl Classics number 51, Castle White Rock. It's a complete campaign. Oh. 761 pages. Holy shit. 15 levels and 14 sub-levels. Oh, so this is like the introduction. I've never heard this mentioned, so I have no idea if it's any good. Like, of all the mega dungeons mentioned, I've never heard this one, like, once. I've heard Castles in Tillin mentioned a whole bunch, but not Castle White Rock. Is this written? Oh, it's not even written by Harley Stroh. Okay, he just wrote this thing. I don't know. It's like just not really well discussed. Oh, I guess. So right now, DCC, Goodman Games, they've been doing a big thing converting Caverns of Thracia, which is another very legendary kind of mega dungeon that I would love to kind of take a look at. I've actually been waiting to have that come out. I wasn't really into the OSR, I guess, enough when that went on Kickstarter or whatever. Otherwise, I would have picked it up. I would have backed it. But yeah, I'm sure I'll grab it once it comes out in full, which shouldn't be too far off. And apparently people are saying that after they finish with that, they're going to do Castle White Rock. I don't know. There's not really there's not really many thoughts about it. Do I have it? It might have been in that bundle of holding. Hold on, I might have it. No. Oh, wait. Oh, I do have it. Wow. Okay, I do have Castle White Rock. The Ruins of White Rock, levels 1 through 6A. Ooh, boy. So yeah, this file is 146 pages. So that covers, yeah, level 1 through 6A. The Ruined Chapel of Bobugbulas. But then it goes on all the way to level 15, the Dragon's Lair. So, yeah, Harley Stroh, I guess, was involved a bit, but not the main writers. Chris Doyle and Adrian M. Pommier. In order to best the dungeon, the player will have to explore many strange locations such as orcish mines, underwater ruins, a forested demiplane, a tower carved from a giant stalactite, a durg or fortress in the volcanic heart of the mountain, and several subquests. Perhaps they will find powerful allies and lost artifacts to help them against Benthosruthsa, the great red dragon dwelling at the bottom of the dungeon. It's also likely they will make powerful enemies. Okay. It should take months of game time to explore and conquer, blah, blah, blah. Each level and associated sublevels are designed to challenge PCs at the same level as the dungeon. From start to finish should reach at least 15th level. Man, oh man. Tremendous in scope, incorporating several levels, dozens of NPCs, friend, foe, and otherwise, and a handful of factions vying for power. Now, I wonder if the problem is that this is a mega dungeon written for 3.5 edition. I wonder if it just fell through the cracks, or I wonder if it's just not good. I can't really find... Okay, here's a forum on RPG.net. Castle White Rock is one of the most impressive dungeon adventures I've ever seen. You get a complete mega dungeon with 15 main levels and a bunch of sub-levels too. It's chock full of plethora of creatures, traps, and interesting encounters, like competing in a purple worm riding contest with giants. Further, unlike many dungeons, it feels very lived in. It has a long history which shapes its contents and inhabitants, and it's sufficiently modular that you can take it apart and use it as many separate dungeons too easily. When is this from? It's 3.5 edition. I have no idea when it's from. I don't see a year anywhere. No, I don't know. This thread is from 2008. Maybe it's from 2008. That could be. It's so funny because it doesn't seem that long ago, and I think of 3.5 is like from my childhood. And I guess that kind of is my childhood. Oh, God. Oh, years. Oh. White Rock is much more focused. You can come and go from it. You don't have to make it the only component of your campaign. It has an interesting history, which shapes its present. And it's sufficiently modular. To me, it's one of the most real-feeling dungeons I've ever seen. Oh, this person said they spent the last year running it. Okay, so it didn't come out in 2008. I really love White Rock, but it does have some flaws. The maps don't match the room descriptions. Well, that's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Speaking of maps, the later levels could do with more annotation. Most of the dungeon levels are really fun. Each one has a great theme. Unfortunately, most of the backstory isn't readily accessible, and there's very little reason given for the PCs to investigate before slaughtering everything in sight. My biggest complaint, maybe it's just my players, but the battles in White Rock are pushovers. In almost all cases, I've had to seriously beef up the opposition in order to provide any sort of challenge to my player. It seems that White Rock was balanced around a group of 4 players' handbook-only characters. If you're using anything other than core material, I highly recommend giving the monsters boosts to AC, hit points, base attack bonus, and damage output. Yeah, and you see his character, he lists his party is like multi-class, dusk blades, fate spinners, and like, yeah, okay. Maps not matching room descriptions is pretty much a game killer. Yeah, and obviously a rewrite would certainly fix that, most likely. It seems just like not many people have ever played or heard of White Rock. Huh. Oh, here's... Oh, this is... Okay, never mind. There's really very little discussions about it. Like, no reviews, really. Certainly not anything recently. The people talking about it. I mean, yeah, I guess it came out in 2007. So, can't really find anything from people discussing it more recently, except for this one thread on the DCC subreddit. And it's not a DCC adventure, obviously, but people do that. I don't know. Like now I'm kind of curious to just kind of go through it myself, at least like the first level, and just like see how it is. It must not be that good. That's my general thought when you have just like something that is practically never mentioned at all in the modern day. And it's a 3.5 campaign, I know, but Red Hand of Doom is a 3.5 campaign, which I'm running for my family right now, because a lot of people really love that thing and it gets talked about. There's a whole subreddit like devoted just to that campaign. You know, there's like fanatics of Red Hand of Doom. Clearly no fanatics of Castle White Rock. But I mean, on Drive-Thru RPG, it has 27 ratings and a 4.6 overall. So, you know, there's some glowing reviews here on Drive-Thru RPG of it. I don't know. It might be worth just poking in and seeing. I own it, so yeah, I don't know. We'll have to figure out exactly how it works, and so it's connected because if you go up the waterfall here, I don't know how you would get here exactly. It seems like a pretty tricky place to get to. Keeping in mind the chain only goes to this level, so I don't even know how you get to 8 or 11. I think 8 also. 8. Yes. So if you go to 8 and go through the doors, they loops 4 miles northeast to the collapsed tunnel in area 4A6, the storeroom in the Clockwork Academy of Castle White Rock. So, and then the waterfall, there's a skeleton that has a map showing Castle White Rock's layout. So there is, you know, some guides here towards leading the players towards Castle White Rock. Okay, but all right, so we get out, we go back to town. We're big heroes, we're big dick heroes. We get a lot of XP for everything because we got multiple magic items. We won another combat against the Oracle, no less. And we saved the kid and finished the adventure. So this should be a decent amount. I mean, I guess for combat, it wasn't really that tough. Like, we didn't do much, so we'll just do 1 for the combat. For the loot, I don't know, it's pretty good. 2 magic items and some, like, the crystal crown and stuff. That might have to be 3 at least. So, yeah, because it's like, how many times are we going to finish a dungeon? So, maybe 4. Alright, so we're at 4 between the combat and the loot. So, or 5 total. Then it's the bonus for saving the kid, saving the day, finishing the adventure, all that sort of stuff. I don't know. It doesn't have to be an insane amount. 3? We'll go with 3. So a total of 8 is what we got for that whole finale, bumping us up to 21. Okay, awesome. And no reward because it's a poor fishing village, and we're doing this because we're heroes and we saved the kid and we got blah, blah, blah. So now we're going to go into downtime. Prescribed downtime. For as long as we fucking want. So we're going to level up to 2. Which doesn't change our XP number required at all. So we'll have to look at that. But we did level up to 2. And the level up process involves some things. Advancement? Or is it under leveling up? Here. +1 to an attribute of your choice, except for luck, up to a max of 16. And then you get hit points, and then there's other juicy things. So let's just drag everyone over to level 2. Hit points are increased automatically. Not by much. We're never going to get that much hit points from now on. And level 3 is going to be 25 XP. Now, remember, for Shadow Dark, I said that I was going to drop it back to 0 every time. And I think for Tales of Argosa, we're going to stand by that because I think I tend to give out more XP than I should. But that's exciting, so we're going to be at 11 out of 25 for everybody. We're just already almost halfway to level 3, so yeah, that's why I give out a lot of XP. Or no, that's because I give a lot of XP. Then so the attributes. 16 is not a bonus. 16 is not a bonus. But I don't know. It's sort of an interesting limiter. Like, you can't go above 16 from your attributes, so you're just going to kind of even out a lot of things. A lot of things are going to be sitting at 16 by the time you're level 9. What else is going to increase my stats? Because it has modifiers. If you go to attributes, it has modifiers listed for 19 to 20, 21 to 22. So, I'm not sure where that comes in. You know, it's funny. Like, I don't think I'm ever going to actually remember. No matter what I put, or how I tried to, I'm never going to remember that Tress gets advantage on Dex and disadvantage on Con. It's just, I shouldn't have made her an elf. It's never going to happen. I don't know if it really came up. I was thinking about the swimming, but she rolled strength for her swim. So that wasn't a factor. But yeah, it's funny. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's any class abilities that just increase your strength. There's mutagen that increases to 17. But just stat boosts, attribute boosts, probably not. Does the system... I mean, I guess you could use it for like monsters and stuff like that. If it comes into play. But usually that's just built into their stat blocks. But I guess, yeah, if you're making a custom monster and you give them 19 strength. But no, I mean, they don't use that for anything. They have their own damage values and they have attack bonus based on their hit dice. So you don't use that for any of that. Then the only other thought is like some magic item that might increase your attributes. Yeah, here you go. Like a potion of giant strength. Your strength increases to 22 for 2d6 rounds. It's pretty significant. Yeah, so there might be some magic items. Probably generally temporarily. I don't think you're going to get... It doesn't seem like the game that would have like gauntlets of ogre strength or something. But it might. And I guess it can be whatever you want. I mean, if you want to put a gauntlets of ogre strength in your game, there you go. But by default, without any magic items or anything, you can't really have a stat over 16 unless you roll it. During character creation. But yeah, here's like, as a part of the generator, you get giant blood. Once every 1d4 days, you grow to 9 feet tall, increase your strength, grow to 20 for 2d6 rounds. So there's definitely some stuff that can increase your attributes, but it seems like mostly meant to be temporary. which is understandable. Right, so, okay, we're gonna increase Danton's strength, because he's all about the strength. Yeah. And Corin, I guess we slowly are improving her dex. Over to 7, so now she has a -1. I don't think 18 does anything for us either. It's just that sweet, and I can't actually increase that, so it's a moot point. Yeah, it's a moot point. So, yeah, Con would bump her up to a 2 bonus there, but that's mostly irrelevant. Yes, with a roll under system, I mean, every point is useful. Her will would actually be pretty good to boost as well. But for now, we'll do that next level, because I want to get the her dex up a bit. The modifier does matter for dex because of AC, so that helps. For Villagrad, I could see intellect going up to make sure that we land those spells whenever we are gonna cast a spell. So I can live with that. And then Tress, she's pretty good across the board. But maybe 13 Con. Yeah, that's probably what I'm thinking. 13 Con. Gives her a little bit more health. Okay, excellent. So that's everyone's attributes. That's everyone's HP. Then it's just a matter of class abilities. So, Cultist. So, she does get a +1 attack bonus. I hope that's represented. +3. Yes, that is now represented, because now that's what a fighter has. Or what Danton had. He probably goes up as well. She gets Child of the Gods, increasing her max luck by 1 point. So luck +1. Nice, we like that. And she gets a new skill. Gain 1 new skill. Need not be on your class list. Okay, any skill I want. For Tress. What are we missing? Oh, we probably want traps and locks on her. So we want someone that can handle locks. Yes, and she has a really good dex. So she's going to go for traps and locks. Awesome. Then there's also the fact that she is a cultist. So every level, she's going to get a new spell. Or do we want to just follow Shadow Dark Cleric Priest progression? Yeah, I think we do. We're using Shadow Dark spells, so we're just going to use this progression. So she gets a 3rd spell. But also, she now can cast spells twice per day. 2 uses. Okay, what spell are we going to get? Now, you know, at the first level, it was determined by template. Now we get to pick. We can pick anything we damn well please. Very exciting. What would be the most useful off the top of my head? Turn Undead is always a crowd pleaser. Can't lie about that. If we encounter any undead, it is just juicy. So I might have to go for that. Yeah, especially because the okay, well, here's the problem that we're gonna have to convert some stuff, because this is a you know, Shadow Dark is a roll over system, Tails is a roll under system. So Turn Undead here is based on your roll as to how effective it is, which is fine. But I think we may have to go with the Tales of Argosa turning effect. You turn 1d8 plus your level, undead, aberrations, or demons within far range. If the target's hit dice are less than half your level, they are destroyed. Targets with hit dice equal to or lower than your level gain a luck will save to resist fleeing for 1d6 times 10 minutes. Targets with more hit dice than you are unaffected. That is in some ways worse. Because Turn Undead and Shadow Dark can affect any level creature. There's no restriction whatsoever. But this is a lower fantasy game. I'm willing to concede that. So we're going to go with this turn effect. And I'm just going to add spell Turn Undead. Which isn't... yeah, I guess we should just call it turning. Because it can also work on aberrations or demons. So this is out to far, instant. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Plus level, undead, aberrations, or demons. Let's see. Less than half level. Do I want to... I guess for right now, it doesn't really matter. We can't destroy anything at level 2. Well, I guess if they're hit dice of half, then maybe that counts. Luck will save or flee 1d6 times 10 minutes. Minutes. Yeah, I mean, we get the idea. When it comes up, I'm sure we'll look at it again. Okay, that is Tress done. Pretty certain. Okay, then Vilgrad. So he gets also a new skill. Do we want to add something with lore? Do we want to add divine lore as well? Although Tress has divine lore, but her int isn't very good. So we'd probably benefit. We also have... Yeah, animal lore. Corn's not very good either. Yeah. Or gather info. Gather info int? Maybe we'll go with gather info int. Okay. He also gets a +1 attack bonus. He gets mental apparatus. Craft a circlet cap, high rim collar, or other headgear that strengthens your mind against mental attacks. Costs 50 gold. While openly wearing it, you gain advantage to resist mind-based attacks, including charm, fear, and so on, but excluding madness. Okay. We can do that. So I'm going to be selling this Crystal Crown. Minus 10%, so that's 6.5. That's 50. Oh, God. Numbers 58.5 is what I get out of it. Minus 50, so I get 8.5 gold. 68. God damn it. 68. 5 silver. Alright, and then we get our thing, which is mental apparatus. Will I ever remember that that exists? Almost certainly not. Now, it says that with each new level, you may learn one new spell during downtime through magical research, including studying spellbooks, scrolls, and so on acquired as loot. We don't have anything that he could learn. Accept silence, I guess. So, yeah. Does that mean that he does not get a new spell? Magical research to learn a new spell is generally possible as long as the PC has access to their spell book. Okay, so he's basically just trying to concoct a spell. So if you're trying to research a spell from the magic chapter, that's minor research. Researching a spell from an old magic grimoire counts as major research. You can also create your own unique spells, but that's up to the GM to decide. So, minor research, 2d6 days of study costs 20 gold per day. That's quite a bit of money. I have to do this every time I level up to learn a new spell. And then I have to succeed on an arcane lore int check. Fuck. Although major research is insanely expensive. 3d6 weeks, 100 gold per week. I guess it's... Well, yeah, so that's going to be about 1,100 gold. Whereas ours is going to be 140 gold. I can afford it. So I guess we're going to do it. So let's roll 2d6, how long it takes me to learn a new spell. 7, right on the dot, 140. And have this fake ruby eye, minus 10% is 15. So I just have to spend 5 of this gold, and we have ourselves a new spell. Whatever I want. What do we want? Sleep? The answer is almost always going to be sleep, right? It's too good. It's too good, right? Like, absurdly good? Best spell in Shadowdark by far? I think we can all agree on that. So, 2 hit dice or less creatures. Any number of them. Just down. It's a fucking game changer. I don't know how anyone could argue this is not the best early spell in the entire system. It in some ways angers me that it's this good, and like, how did this pass QA testing and all that? But also, I'm not above abusing the shit out of it. Now, Tales of Argosa does have its own sleep equivalent. Which is called Dark Slumber. Range far. Causes 4d4 hit dice worth of living humanoids in a close-sized area to fall asleep and become helpless. Lower hit dice humanoids are targeted first, and a luck will save resists. Targets of 5 hit dice or more are immune. Shaking a victim grants a will check to awaken. On a great success, you may target other living creatures. In some ways, it's kind of better. For one, you can target things up to level 4. You're just probably not going to get as many. But say, you have a room with 10 goblins of level 1. On average, Dark Slumber will hit 10 hit dice worth of living humanoids. So it'll catch all 10 goblins. So it's pretty good there, and you could potentially target something bigger. Like, you could target a 4 hit dice enemy without much trouble. But it does have a cap as well. Also, it's range far. And I think it lasts, the same amount of time? No. Sleep is funny in Shadowdark because it lasts forever. it has no duration of any kind. So it's just like if they're left there, I just picture they starve to death or dehydrate and die in their sleep. This lasts at least 10 minutes, which is generally enough time for you to do what you want. And on a great success, you can target any living creature. Meaning not just humanoids. I don't think that means that you can target stuff above 5 hit dice. But I don't know. Actually, I might want to check the Discord on that. And I'm going to do that right now. Hold on. Dark Slumber. Never mentioned. No one has mentioned it in the Discord. Yeah, this is sort of, there was a comment about how there's that restriction normally where you can only cast the same spell a number of times per day equal to your int mod. And I think we broke that with Summon Elemental. So in general, I'm ignoring that because I think that's boring. And if I want to cast Sleep 10 times a day because I can, then let me fucking do that. I don't know, balance your spells better if that's a concern for you. So I'm actually I think I'm just going to take Dark Slumber to be honest. I think it's a bit more balanced. It has some pros compared to Sleep. And yeah, I mean Sleep does work against any living creature by default, whereas here if we want to target like animals or something like that, we have to get a great success. So we might cast it in the hopes that we get a great success and it does nothing, but we do have the great the Cloak of Magic. So, but as for the targeting 5 hit dice or more, I don't think that's what it means. I think that's literally just in reference to humanoids. So yeah, we're gonna take Dark Slumber. What is far distance? Is that 60 feet? 60 feet range. So not quite the same as 3.5 edition, but oh well. The 60-foot range, which is also a big plus. We can range it out to 60 feet, and then from there we have a 30-feet zone that it targets. So we can do ranged sleeps, which is honestly kind of a big buff. So I'm pleased as punch with that. So that's what Villagrad spent his time and money doing. That's all correct across the board there. Rerolls back. Yada yada. We should have... No, they didn't add spells. They did add spells? They didn't add spells. No spells are in the thing, so we have to manually add Dark Slumber. Which is int bar 1d6 times 10 minutes. 4d4 hit dice. In close area. Luck, will to resist. Living humanoids in close area. Luck, will to resist. That's pretty much all I have to put there. We get the rest of it. So it does target lower hit dice humanoids first. So if there's a pack and you're trying to put the ogre to sleep and there's goblins around him, that's going to be much trickier. It's going to target the goblins first, but still, you know, anything asleep is better than not asleep. So, Dark Slumber it is. And now we can cast that twice. Ooh, so good. I think that is it for Villagrad. I believe. Don't want to miss anything. It's very important. Very important stuff. But I believe that's going to be it. The new skill, attack bonus is already applied. Attribute was applied. Mental apparatus is applied. Extra spell cast and new spell are all good. Alright, next is Corrin. So, Corrin is also, I assume, going to get a new skill as a ranger. New skill and steady shot. Corrin's new skill, I don't know, she's got a pretty good mix, but I would maybe say athletics kind of lets her play into what she's good at. Yeah, I'd probably say athletics. We don't have any charismatic people, so that's kind of funny. We don't do a whole lot of talking. That's not our way. We will go athletics. Okay, and then steady shot. When you make a ranged attack, targets lose any AC bonus due to cover. In addition, if you miss your target, you never reroll the attack against an ally in the same melee. That is very nice. Now we can kind of arrow into the group with immunity. But at the same time, I feel like we're also going to be grabbing a spear here and doing phalanx strats. But I don't know. Her using the bow might be better anyways, so we'll stick with that. So, ranger, steady shot. Done. Done. She is going to get another ranger craft. And now we get to pick one. So we could pick the replacement that I had for Animal Ken, which was, what did I call it? Unceasing Strike. So now she gets to activate that when after she misses, to have the follow-up be with advantage instead of +2. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Oh, I'd also have to rewrite Instinctive Rescue. That lets your animal do a rescue. Yeah, I'll have to rewrite that at some point. Cover Fire, which lets you reroll a ranged attack against you or an ally. Healing Solve. During a short rest, you and up to 8 allies regain 8 hit points equal to your Perception mod. Limited to once per rest only. Ooh, boy, that is pretty juicy too, because I probably remembered to do that. And that's 2 hit points, which isn't much, but it does let you heal back up to full, because normally you can't. And I'd probably use that almost every time. So I think that might be the one to go with. Alright, we'll go with Healing Solve. Okay. Good. And I think that's basically it for Corrin, because she's not a magic user. So there's not much to say there. She didn't get an attack bonus up. Bit of a bummer, but what are you going to do? She's no fighter. And let's look at that fighter now. Danton, the fucking champion. Champion of mortals. The Dreamboat. Everything we desire. Anyways. So he gets an attack bonus. He gets a new skill. He gets supplies. So at any time during an adventure, he may automatically add 1d4 mundane items to his equipment list. So any basic equipment, basic adventuring gear and stuff like that, once per adventure, he can add some shit. Until we get back to a village, town, or city. Glorious. That's so useful. We could have just added a lantern and oil flasks again. So good. I don't know why he gets it of all things, because he's a fighter, but still, it's good. Okay. He also gets another adaptable style. Obviously, you know, it's going to be a little tricky, because I feel like, well, long reach is once per battle, so we can only use that once anyways. So we want something that benefits, you know, that's kind of like a non-default kind of thing. We could change our defaults. So there's Protector, which increases his AC by 1 from a shield, which is pretty nice. But I'd have to swap that as my default to really make any sort of sense. Not that. Maybe Brutal? I could see Brutal. Because then it's like, if we get the trauma effect, and it actually is going to matter, the target didn't die, then adding a +2 is pretty good. So I guess we'll go with Brutal. And hopefully I remember. He also gets a new skill. It definitely said, yeah, new skill. Okay. He's got athletics, he's got acrobatics. He's mainly good at those two things. We'll give him sleight of hand. Why not? He's the best. He's the best. Love Danton. I think that's it. I think he's pretty simple. So that's all there is to say. Okay, we're just about to end here. Job well done and all that stuff. And we're, you know, next time we will be selling stuff, buying stuff, getting ourselves fit for another adventure, presumably into Castle White Rock to check that out. But before we go, let's talk about this map real quick. So our game world. So this is not the whole world. This is technically one large slice of like the main continent. This scale right here is about, these smaller hexes here are, I think, meant to be 30 miles across. So from coast to coast here, you have 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180, 210, 240, 270, 300, 330, 360, 390. So that's 2 of those hexes, 390 plus another 2 more. You know, you're looking at probably 1,000 miles. Less than that, maybe a little less than that. So around there, whatever. I'm not a math guy, and I'm not going to count it all. So yeah, like 1,000 miles across, and then top to up down is going to be pretty close to the same amount, give or take. There's the whole ocean on the east side. There's a, you know, this is kind of the temperate area here. You have the more equatorial, hotter, drier jungle area, desert area to the south, and then up north it's going to be a bit colder, a bit rockier, a bit less forgiving terrain and weather and stuff. So it covers a good mixture. It's quite a bit of land. And then we can zoom into the kingdom level, and these are each going to be, I think it was like 4.2 miles for each of these little hexes. So a little bit kind of in that middle zone between 3 and 6. Not a perfect number. It wouldn't have been ideal, but that's what it ended up being. So this is our starting village here, right on the coast. And yeah, plenty of room for adventure. There's 3 major cities, like kind of capital cities, one by the desert, one up here by the Badlands, and then one right here on the coast. So this is the big one right here. And then a handful of towns, handful of villages, handful of wizards' towers and enemy strongholds and stuff like that. A couple other like witch towers, but all the rest of like miscellaneous ruins, dungeons, lairs, all that is kind of up in the air. All these little points of interest are something. I think most likely they're more what were they most likely? I think villages. Villages are like forts or something like that is what they're most likely to be, but you don't really find out until you enter those hexes. So, how did this get generated? Well, quite an obscure method, let me tell you. I happened to come, I was going through all sorts of stuff, all sorts of info about generating hexcrawls and all sorts. So it was on a blog, and there was one mention of this method when talking about generating like a larger campaign world, if that's what you were interested in. And this method comes from a RPG called the 7 Voyages of Zilarthan. I have never ever heard of this game before. I don't even really know what it is, but this is the campaign book for starting and running a campaign within this setting, this system. And so it's under the section How to Create a World in 1 Hour. And so not only is it not a world, it's not an hour. But what fascinated me with this method is that it specifically involves using hexographer and gives like specific instructions for hexographer and for the settings and tools and stuff. Now, this is Worldographer. This is the new version. I actually had to go and download and activate the old version, Hexographer, because they removed a feature that's used here, which is the Add Random Features button. So I could not find that option here in Worldographer. I'm pretty sure it doesn't exist. They replaced it with the Generate Hexcrawl Location button, which generates hexcrawl locations and like text and stuff and different symbols all across your map. What this does, the add random feature thing, is it just takes however many tiles you have, and then you can put in a percentage. So if you have, so this generates around 1,000 hexes, and you can put in like a 0.6%, and then it'll generate 6 of those random features somewhere on the map. And mostly you just use that as like a way to randomly pick locations. You randomly pick tiles. So you start out with picking locations for 3 cities. Okay, yeah, no. So you add 26 habitations randomly across the board. So, and it just tells you to pick any symbol when adding random features. So you pick like the dragon symbols. You put 26 dragons all across your whole map. Okay, and then you're going to pick 3 of those symbols that popped up, and those are going to be your main cities. And it says 1 kind of mid-latitude coastal city, 1 southern city, 1 interior city. Probably towards the north. So those are going to be cities. You determine those. And then for all the other 23 of the random features, you're rolling a d20 for each one to determine whether it's a town, a village, a castle, a tower/stronghold for a magic user, a temple/stronghold for an evil HP. I still don't know what that means. I don't know what an HP is. So I'm not sure. And then a 20 is a witch's tower, which we actually got 2 of. We got Witch's Tower here and here. So yeah, the rest of those are all going to be the villages we randomly rolled in different locations, the towns in different locations, forts, some wizards' towers, and evil strongholds and stuff like that. So have major habitations. It's also important to note that this is all a public-facing map, a player-facing map, except for the points of interest. So everything before the points of interest, this is all would be known to players and handed to players. So they know where all the settlements are, and where like witches' towers are, and where evil strongholds are. That's all known to them. I don't know why exactly, but okay. But then you generate the points of interest for yourself, for the DM. So then you just cut out the east side of the map, making it a coastline. And that actually ends up... so that creates the ocean, but it also is going to strand some land over to the east side. So like if you had symbols over on this east side, all the way on the east side, those become islands then. So you delete everything else, but then those become islands, because you're going to generate these other islands later. Then you generate some, generate more islands, you generate mountains, and the way it does it is really nice compared to the sandbox generator, just pure randomness. The location of the mountains, like the starting point, is random, but then you roll a few dice to determine like how wide the mountain range is and in what direction it moves in, and how long it goes for. So this, was randomly generated. This was all randomly generated. And a couple of these I had mountain ranges, like the two symbols connected to create like a mega mountain range. I think that's what happened here in the middle. And obviously that's sort of what happened here with this mountain range. I don't know. And then you generate like a few smaller scale mountain spots. I don't know. I really like that. And then you do that also for forests. You do that for badlands or deserts. You do that for swamps or marshes. And you also do that for lakes. And then rivers, you kind of just designate yourself. That's not random. And roads, you kind of designate yourself. But it's meant to be sort of a frontier, sort of Borderlands whole continent. So there's not that many fixed roads. It's kind of meant to be a dangerous region, continent. Yeah, I really liked it. I think this is kind of my go-to method. Shockingly, I never would have expected to find it buried in this random-ass system book. But yeah, I think it made a map that I'm fairly pleased with. I don't think that it's incredibly varied. A lot of this is just grassland, farmland sort of region. I mean, this is hundreds of miles that are just pretty much grassland. So if you wanted to add more things, but I don't know, it's a tough thing. You either are like taking somebody else's map, you're designing it yourself, you are using like really random generation, which is going to produce just really random hodgepodges of maps, or you can do something like this where it's somewhat random, but at least you have like coherent clumps of terrain. And then yeah, I guess I'd probably be interested in adding a few more types of terrain. Like it didn't account for like hilly terrain, so probably a couple sections here I'd probably just want to make wooded hills. Or yeah, something like that. Hills, shrubland, hills, forest mixed. Like you could just spread these around and it would be pretty good. I actually don't like the hills symbol because it just looks like desert to me. Like look at this is the hills terrain. Look at this. Tell me this does not look like a fucking desert. That's supposed to be just hills. And even the grassy hills just look like kind of off-color deserts. So I don't know, but yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of different terrain that you could just use to mix up the map a bit more. But I don't know. I mean, it's really probably only like a me problem because it's more about the locations and things and the events and stuff that occurs rather than like crazy fantasy terrain and oh look how weird this area is and blah blah blah. This is probably really relatively realistic that most of the planet in this sort of climate is just grass and empty plains and stuff, you know? Like, think of Europe. Most of Europe is just this. And this, at least, is somewhat more varied. It's got the desert in there and a bunch of mountains and stuff. Anyways, so yeah, that's it. I mean, it took a while because I wasn't super familiar, and you know, I don't think there's getting it down to an hour seems pretty quick because there's a lot of dice rolling you have to do, and I had to like keep flipping back and forth. But yeah, maybe you could get it down to an hour once you've done this a few times. But it was pretty painless and kind of enjoyable, and yeah. So the only problem is that you basically need to get Hexographer, which is like an old Java program that you have to... I don't think you have to have the paid version, though, for this. I do, because I bought Worldographer. But I think you can just get the free version of Hexographer and do all this. So, there you have it. So next time, we'll be starting out in this setting properly after our initial dungeon adventure there. So, yeah, we're probably just going to be heading right back into another dungeon, Castle White Rock, so we're not really going to be messing with the map too much. But I felt I needed a map, and I can reuse this anytime I want, so it's all good. And you never know. We probably should take a moment to populate the surrounding region. You know, we could use just the sandbox generator method, which does fill up a tile pretty sufficiently, but maybe a bit too sufficiently. I don't know. It's a lot of dungeons for me to populate it with. But I don't actually have to pick the dungeon when we put it down. So, yeah, I guess. But just thinking about that and, like, how many dungeons are going to be, just, like, in this whole area, if I do sandbox generator, how many fucking dungeons and monster layers are going to be? Like, that is such an insane concept. But it's also, like, it is a massive amount of land. It's kind of hard to put into your brain, like, what exactly you're looking at for how much land this is. And even one tiny hex here is 4.2 miles across. So, that's pretty far. Even two dungeons, like, just looking at it, it's like, oh god, two dungeons right next to each other. But no, they are miles and miles apart from one another. So, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, next time we'll pick it up. Level 2, very exciting. Can't wait to get to level 3, where we get our unique feature. And I get to have a lot of fun trying to implement all that into Foundry. We'll see. For now, though, my name is Mang. This has been Solo Roll Manging. And I'll see you fine folks in the next part.